Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Candid Frank Stanisci YouTube channel. You now on Candid Frank Live. Joining me is Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. How are you, Frank?
A little mixed up. You know how it is. Technology is not always your best friend,
No, it happens to the best of us.
and to the worst of us, namely me. Okay. So let's get to entertainment. Let's get to buying tickets to concerts. There was lots of talk with the previous big star and now the latest tickets, Beyonce, and the U.S. government, Congress at least, is watching what's going on and how it's working. So tell us, where are they now?
Well, those tickets just seem to be, they're out there-ish, I guess, but people are having difficulty getting their hands on them. It is what it is. But there are concerns that there is still a lot of ticket resellers, I guess you could say, which is the polite word from the term that we would normally use for those particular individuals. It's becoming more of an issue. I think they're actually considering opening a congressional investigation in the states into these sorts of things.
They're in the middle of one. They
Who's
already
getting
did.
what?
Right. They already are in one. They already started those kinds of questions. And they were warned that if they came back again, it could get interesting. And by interesting, I mean monopoly is the key word for this whole thing. And it it doesn't follow that just because you're a monopoly, you get in trouble with the U.S. government. It just depends which monopoly you are and who's ticked at you.
Well, the beehive does seem to have something in their bonnet, so we'll have to see
Absolutely,
what
it's funny
happens.
you would refer to it the beehive. That's a double entendre, buddy. Good one. Okay, let's go over the CFL. The Riders signed Larry Dean.
So they've picked him up for a 1-year extension. This means that he was due to become a free agent on Valentine's Day. He's currently the 25th ranked player in the CFL's top 30 pending free agents list. He started all 18 regular season games with the Green and White last season, finished second in the CFL with 108 total tackles and 4 tackles for loss. So glad to see him back in the fold for them. Now, he'd originally signed with the Roughies in 2021, but missed the entire year due to a preseason Achilles heel injury. So there's hope here that he can get back on track.
So Riders complete their coaching staff and their football ops staff, people in the office, people on the field.
Yeah, they finally settled everything down and managed to get everything hammered out. So we're going to see. Sorry, there we go. We're going to see Bull Duke joining the Roughies. He's got 22 years of coaching experience, most recently spent with the Montreal Alouettes. And then there's Del Calzette, who's the defensive line coach. Now he's got 16 years of collegiate coaching, and he's bringing that to the Roughies. He was with the Air Force and the University of Maryland. Naaman Roosevelt is their offensive assistant. He should be familiar to everybody who follows the team. He attended the 2022 training camp as a guest coach. Drew Tate was going to be there for the receivers. He's spent 10 years as a CFL quarterback and 3 seasons away from the league. He retired from the CFL in 2018. And Anthony Vitale's back as the offensive line coach. Jordan Greenlee, the former manager of football ops, is promoted to director of football operations, working alongside Chase Peltier. And Greg Mayer is its new head athletic therapist. So there you go. They're rounding everything out.
Lions add 4 to the roster after free agent camp, looking for diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, you never always find them where you expect to. They've added national fullback Dylan St. Pierre, American linebacker Robert Holt, American wide receiver Aiden Eberhardt, and American offensive lineman Quinn Osland. They've all been inked and are all looking forward to making their debuts. St. Pierre joined the squad after last week's free agent camp in Las Vegas. He played for the GGs and U Sports between 2016 and 2022. Eberhardt is from Loveland, Colorado. He played 42 games at Wyoming between 2016 and 2021. Holt was at Portland State from 2018 to 2022, suited up in 34 games with 77 tackles and 2 interceptions. And Osland is from Springfield, not necessarily that one. He was redshirted his first season, but played 13 games in Minnesota from 2016 to 2018.
All right, Red Blacks extend defensive lineman Praise Martin Uguke.
Yeah, so he's going to be back. He was in his second CFL season in 2022. Now, both of those have been with the Red Blacks. He's the product of Abia State in Nigeria, who grew up in Woodbridge, New Jersey. Now, he only played 9 games this season because of injury, but he still managed to record 12 tackles, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble. So, looks like they're looking to solidify what they've got back there.
Apparently, in Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays bull nose contracts.
Yeah, turns out that he was supposed to have a hearing for Thursday, but has agreed to a multi-year deal with the franchise. This avoids arbitration, according to Ben Nicholson Smith. He initially started reporting on that as bridge deals intensified this week. Apparently, it's something like $33.5 million. 3 arbitration years in the range of 6 to 11 to 16 and a half, give or take. But according to the team, they offered 5 and 7.5. And it looks like they've managed to settle something amicably. There aren't a lot of details out there yet, but once we get a little more, we'll let you know.
LeBron passes Kareem.
Yeah, this was something that was only really a matter of time, just simply due to his longevity. LeBron James is now the highest scorer in NBA history. So, he gets his Sports Illustrated cover. He's going to get himself the cover of the basketball video game. But yeah, he's finally passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for top scorer in the league.
Kyle Irving apparently deletes a lot of things off, I guess, Twitter.
Yeah, he's deleting stuff off his Twitter and his Instagram. There was a bit of a furor, if you folks recall, we covered it a little bit here about him promoting a movie with anti-Semitic overtones. Included in some of the stuff that he deleted, he also deleted the apology to the Jewish community that he put up there. Now, he said, look, I stand by who I am and why I apologized. I did it because I care about my family, and I have Jewish members of my family who care for me deeply. From there, he goes on a little bit of a rant to accuse the media of not getting to know everything about him. What still remains in question is how much of the Jewish part does he still actually practice, or is he using it as a convenient way to sort of pass the buck and defend himself here? So we'll see. But he's off to a new team. So, hey, there you go.
In the NHL, the Islanders' Bo Horvat scores his first goal. Here's chance and also, a standing ovation. Will he be the next Butch Goring Islander?
See, that you never know. I mean, he got his first goal with the Islanders on Tuesday and beat the Kraken 4-0. It was a really
or
nice
nothing,
goal.
Aaron. It's not soccer.
Poor Parcells set him up really nice. I like.
Stop with your soccer crap.
But here
okay.
it is, with 32 goals so far this season, and his first in an Islanders sweater. That was a new career high for him. So he's well on his way to beating his personal best of 61 points from 2018 to 2019.
Islanders' Warren Foegele scores twice. Red Wings lose to the Oilers.
So, this was actually good. Connor McDavid has extended his point streak to 13 games. Warren Foegele scored twice in the second period. Now, Foegele was a 4th-round winger. He had his first 2-goal game of the season, 1 game after he was a healthy scratch. So I think there was a little bit of a motivating factor to try to keep himself in the lineup there. Now, he and Ryan McLeod actually had goals 36 seconds apart early in the second period, and Foegele got his second goal midway through to give the Oilers a 3-1 lead. At that point there, they never really looked back. So congratulations to him.
Lafreniere scores in overtime. Rangers win. Flames lose 5-4.
Yeah, it's been a bumpy road. This game was actually typified by a lot of hard hits, including a magnificent shot by Trouba on Kadri.
And Lucic took one too.
Yeah, now both were legal hits. Both were with shoulders directly to the upper chest, which is perfectly legal. Knocked Kadri's helmet clean off his head. I think he needs to do with his chin strap just a little bit tighter. But there's always that risk, if you get hit by somebody and you're not expecting it, and your helmet pops off and you crack the ice. That's concussion protocols, at least, if you're not,
Yeah,
really unlucky. So
and his head did hit the ice, but he didn't
yeah.
seem to be affected at any time after his head hit the ice.
The NHL has been really good when it comes to their concussion spotters. So there's a bit of relief there, obviously.
That saying comes to mind: "Better safe than sorry."
Definitely.
I'm hearing it. Okay, let's talk about the Vancouver Canucks. How are they doing?
Well, they've been having their issues. Jesper Bratt scored on a power play with 43 seconds left in overtime to help the Devils beat the Canucks 5-4. Now, this was after the Devils had managed to squander a 3-goal lead. Lindy Ruff, of course, was his typical self after the game. He said, "I just think we got lucky. The last 10 minutes of the third period was all Vancouver. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They had 2 or 3 opportunities. They could have won the game. I feel like we got lucky." Um, it's tough to get the team refired again after the break. JT Miller is trying to put a brave face on it by saying, "Hey, I think we played well. We had a lot of heart, a lot of pride, character as a team." Beauvillier seems to be fitting in well with the Vancouver Canucks for now. He's one of the pieces that came back in the Horvat trade. So we'll have to see how that progresses.
Let's talk about the Maple Leafs. You want to talk about getting going after the break? They have an extended break. I mean, they could do a week in Florida. At least the ones that, well, actually, they could do a week in. All of them could do a week in Florida because that's where it was. So the All-Star games.
Yeah, they. I think their next game isn't until tomorrow night. No, Friday night. Sorry, and that will be the first leg of a home and home back-to-back series with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So they'll be in Columbus on Friday and back in Toronto on the Saturday for Hockey Night in Canada. Um, after yeah, I mean, they've had a week and a bit now to marinate on that 5-2 loss to Boston before the All-Star break. What I think remains to be seen here is how that's going to affect them going forward.
I think more importantly, how is it going to affect management?
True. We'll have to see if they do decide to pull the trigger to get themselves another left winger, which is where they seem to be a little short at this point in time. They have to bear in mind the fact that Matthews is going to be out for at least another 3 weeks. So we'll have to see. We'll get a chance to get a good look at them through my office windows for the outdoor practice if I go in for
There
the
you go. Maybe
weekend.
I'll come by and check out. What day are they doing the outdoor practice?
They're doing the outdoor practices on Saturday and Sunday this week.
Ooh,
Yeah. There's
I
also
might be down there for Saturday.
Interesting coincidence here as well. The Professional Women's Hockey Players Association is staging their practice from 11:30 to 1:30, which dovetails nicely with the Toronto Sixes game against the Montreal Force at 2:00 up at York Arena. So I'm not sure if the PWHPA decided to stage their practice at that particular time so it coincides with the PHF game, but I think it's a nice dovetail.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the rumors that are going out there. And I'm not giving any credibility to these. The talk about what do you think of a trade of Matthews to Arizona, Chikrin, and maybe another guy, and then the first overall pick if they can get it, being Bedard. Would that be a deal you could make? But there's no guarantee that Bedard's in the mix because they're Arizona can't guarantee they got that pick.
Well, so what you're saying is you're telling me a roster player, a prospect, and a draft pick in exchange for a generational talent who's currently one of the highest paid players on his team, the Art Ross Trophy winner and the Rocket Richard winner.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. Yeah, I was asking the
Mm,
question.
eh,
Is that your
I
answer?
mean,
I mean, are you
if
leaving it there? Is that your answer? I mean,
well, put it this way: if Dubas got hit in the head with a baseball bat and was in a
mhm.
fugue state and happened to get contacted by Arizona, I could potentially see it happening. But I think Brendan Shanahan might step in to prevent him from doing something like that. Now,
So
I do.
there's
Go
okay. Go
ahead.
ahead. I'm sorry. No, no,
Yeah,
you go ahead. You go ahead.
I do appreciate the run that Chitrin has been on,
Yeah, I'm
and he
just
is a known
curious.
quantity. but
I
I'm
wouldn't
not sure the
make the
Leafs do
trade
it.
because Bedard can't be guaranteed. If
Yeah.
my point is that if you can guarantee that Bedard's in the mix, right? If you can guarantee that he is in it, I'd jump at that deal if you could
Oh, in a
guarantee it.
heartbeat. Oh,
If you
yeah.
could guarantee it to get that defenseman and maybe not a big, forward, which the Leafs are accustomed to not having, a guy like Bedard, I don't know. That's kind of interesting to me because, and here's why, Aaron. I say that my motivation is that for 3 years he's not going to be making big bucks. The Leafs could actually play with the cap with that money. That again, I'm not trying to minimize, Matthews's value because he's very valuable. He's a very good player, but I'm thinking Stanley Cup. The Matthews with the Leafs thing hasn't turned out very well. In fact, not even a first round win. If you get Bedard, you get Chikrin, and you get another. There was another player involved in the rumor, a relatively good player, and then you get the young kid, and you subtract that $11 million. Aaron, that's why I'm saying it's a good idea, but it'll never happen. Not because the Leafs can't make it happen, or there's no baseball bat hard enough to change Dubas's mind or make up his mind for him. I just don't think that Arizona could guarantee Bedard as, it would have to happen after the draft. Now, that would be interesting. It would be an interesting move, one that if I were Leaf management, I'd consider it because those 3 years of underpaying a really good player, assuming that he can step into the National Hockey League, and his size indicates that it could be difficult for him to he will not arrive at the level that Matthews the void that Matthews leaves. Let's be clear about that. Anybody who thinks that, might be that's a long shot. That's a real long shot. So, yeah, just saying, just something was toying in my head. But the only reason I can say that is because it's never going to happen because Bedard can't be guaranteed as a pick of the Arizona team.
No, I mean, in a La La Land, yeah, I could see that definitely happening. I know that there are a lot of folks out there that have proposed this trade on Shell and on NHL 2022. I don't know if the system has actually accepted it, but there is some at least foundation for their belief that this is a potential. But to me, unfortunately, it just seems a little bit unlikely. We'll have to look elsewhere for the help that we're going to get on the left hand side.
So Grandpa stood in front of all the other people in Congress, shot out his speech, was called out twice, two main times that he was called out, and both times he buried the people involved. I'm kind of proud of the old man. He seems to be getting stronger. I know it sounds silly, but he seems to be getting more energetic and stronger, at least with the conversation that's he's still, he called it conversion. I think he meant to say conversation.
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing and I was very impressed by the way he turned things around. And I think it's Kelly, isn't it? The guy that was saying that how dare he lie about us, and he's a guy who said what apparently Biden was alluding to, and it's about time that I appreciate that kind of behavior, and I like when politicians call out other politicians who are not being truthful and or calling them out on some of the ideas they have that they think they can deny, and then offer an opportunity for them to deny. And finally, the last thing I really enjoyed is when he was talking about Medicare and when he got them all to stand up and say, "No, don't worry, it's safe." Oh, okay, so they all applauded, and he said, "Okay, so we all agree, right? It's
There were some brilliant moves in that speech, and I
there
do
was for."
appreciate him getting fired up.
And it smacked of the debate with him and Trump, which is why Trump won't do a debate if he ends up in the election again. When he said, "Name me a group that you want me to talk about," and remember, Trump came out with that line, "Stand back and stand by."
Yeah.
And that was a critical mistake by Trump and a great coup by Biden. That opened people's eyes, especially after January 6th. And that's part of the reason why I think a lot of Americans realize that, in fact, there is a danger in their country with politicians.
Most definitely, and it's something that always has to be front of mind.
Absolutely. Aaron, you're awesome, buddy. You're the
Appreciate that,
beast.
Frank. Thank you.
You're the beast. He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please watch a lot of our other shows, Candid Frank Live, CFL Talk, NLL Lacrosse Talk. And you can watch them all on Candid Frank Stanisci, the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, everybody.